had a wonderful weekend. So let's chat about this story. This story is absolutely crazy, I would say. So, out in California, there is a 14-year-old kid who was allegedly going around violating women in his community in Hollywood. And it's a very sick story, but it does raise questions and concerns about one, youth's exposure to pornography and other graphic um, content out there in the media and on television, and also the parents' responsibility in these type of cases. One, are they allowing their kids to watch these things? Two, what type of things are going on in the household? And another question is raised is the supervision of these children. He's 14 years old. One of the incidents happened around, I think, 3 o'clock in the morning. How and why is a 14-year-old kid doing out at 3 o'clock in the morning? So let's talk about this crazy case. It's absolutely. Hi, Smoke'em. How are you? We have a crazy story for you today, girl. I don't know if you heard about this story, but it is out in California. And this kid is 14 years old, and he is accused of raping, a victim who was walking to work in Hollywood. And it's just absolutely appalling and shocking. But in a way, it's not. It does raise questions as to what is really going on in our society, what's going on in households, and the access to graphic content online and television to our young kids. And as their brain is not fully developed and they're permitted and have free access to watch these type of graphic content on television, on the media, and also the influence of the parents, just, depending on what's going on in the household, is quite concerning. So let's talk about this case. So police confirm they're investigating a second case involving this suspect. So he's not only being investigated for one incident, but he's also being investigated for a prior incident. There's a prior victim that has come out, so there's at least two so far, but she has come out and identified him as also as her attacker. So this case is crazy. A 14-year-old serial physical violator, I would just say. You guys know what I mean, the R word. He's a serial R word, you know what I mean. So a 14-year-old boy was arrested late Monday night in connection with, you know the right word, guys, sexual battery that occurred last week in Hollywood. Authorities confirmed Tuesday morning. This is crazy, guys. Crazy. In Hollywood, California, a 14-year-old boy was arrested late Monday in connection with, you know what, that occurred late last week. Hollywood authorities confirmed Tuesday morning. According to Hollywood police, detectives, and SWAT team, members confirmed an arrest in the 700 block of South Park Road just before midnight and took Terry Berger Smith into custody. Now, normally they do not identify minors. They normally don't put photos out, all that stuff. But this is a very sensitive type crime, a serious sensitive type crime that he is doing. So they are having exceptions. And in my opinion, he was sought in juvenile court, but I do think that they probably will petition to try to get his case elevated to an adult court. We shall see, but that is what I think they should do, because this kid is definitely not acting like a 14-year-old, in my opinion, going out and physically attacking grown women as a 14-year-old, early morning hours. So the parents, I feel, also should be held responsible. Definitely no supervision of their child, and also depending on what influences they were on their children, on their son. But they said, we've been very uneasy in the neighborhood because you're seeing cops here, not just one cop, but like 10 cops. Maria, who lives in the area, said, police said sex battery occurred around 3:50 a.m. Friday morning, you guys. He's 14 years old. What is this 14-year-old boy doing out at 3:50 a.m. in the morning? Where is his parents? Where is his father, who's allegedly speaking out now? This is just sick. This kid clearly has been exposed prematurely to inappropriate content. And who knows what was going on in his household, for what conditioned him to do such horrific things to women who are merely just, this woman was headed to work. I don't know where the other woman was going, but it's just crazy, you guys. This is just, this world is crazy right now. All these crazy stories. So according to authorities, the victim, whose age has not been released, well, we already know he's 14 years old. Oh, sorry, the victim. Sorry. The victim, we don't know how old she was, but if she's walking to work, she's probably an adult, you guys. That's crazy. A 14-year-old kid physically attacking and physically violating an adult woman. That is crazy. Man, this story, guys, I can't believe it. Was walking to her job when she was attacked and RAPED by the teen in a 300 block of South Park Road. At the time, the teen was wearing a sweatshirt, shorts, and a blue mask. And there he was. I don't see the blue mask they're saying he was wearing, but I guess he took that off. No other details about the attack were released. We heard what happened to the woman. We're all happy and thankful they could catch the guy. So now we can have some reassurance. Hollywood police confirmed to Local 10 News they are investigating another case from May. So this kid already started doing this. He is a serial RAPIST. This is how serial killers get developed. This is kind of similar to, the story of Ted Bundy and all those other serial crazy people out there. There's like I forgot that guy's name, Night Killer or Night Stalker or whatever his name was. If you guys know his name, let me know. But he also was a serial RAPIST, but he would take people's lives. So this is how they start out. This kid is a very dangerous menace to society, meaning he's starting out with these physical violations, right? And then when they get arrested and when their victims testify against them, they get better. Well, you know what I mean? They learn from these situations and they say, you know what? I can't leave witnesses. So then when they're released, then they start taking people's lives when they engage in these type of invasive crimes. So this boy is a very dangerous boy. And if he is not locked away, he is going to end up, if there's no type of intervention, I don't know how they're going to, I don't know how he can be rehabilitated. That's the question I'm asking you guys. Can this kid be rehabilitated? I know a lot of people, especially in California, their whole goal for teenagers is to rehabilitate. But man, a 14-year-old kid already sophisticated in that he strategically chooses early morning hours when there's not many people out to prey upon vulnerable people. So he's probably already stalked his victim, knowing this woman's schedule, in my opinion. And he's already done it before back in May. So he has a pattern and a system at age 14. This is sick, you guys. This kid is going to become a potential Ted Bundy or that other serial killer guy named Night Stalker. I think that's his name. I don't know the guy's name. Let me see if I can Google him real quick. Sorry, guys. I always get sidetracked when I'm reading these articles. But it always pulls up other stories. Is it Night Stalker? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? If anybody's into crimes, like I am, because, I used to be a criminal prosecutor. So is that his name? What's that guy's name? There he is. The Night Stalker. There he is. Okay. This sick guy. Right here, guys. Right here. Hold on. Let me get him. This sick guy. This teen boy reminds me of him. I believe he is going to become, if there is no intervention, and I don't know. There has been this argument. Can children be rehabilitated? And I used to be a criminal, when I was a criminal prosecutor, I did prosecute some cases in juvenile court for a while. And there were a lot of sex crimes. I mean, kids young as age of 10 years old molesting their younger sisters and cousins and stuff. It was crazy, guys. In juvenile court, I was like, oh my gosh, is this really happening? And it made me wonder what is going on in these households. And a lot of times there was issues with the parents, irresponsible parents and stuff like that. But then it makes me wonder, can these kids be rehabilitated? Because I know when I was prosecuting in juvenile court, these kids they kept reoffending. They'd get out, we do some type of rehabilitation, therapy, all that stuff. But then they'd be back in court again with another crime. They've molested some other kid now. So I'm like, can they be rehabilitated? My theory is I think this new kid who's 14 years old, who's already has a pattern of doing this, did it multiple times. This is his beginning stages of becoming the Night Stalker Jr. You guys don't know about this guy, but this guy, same thing. He grew up in a very rough, and I don't know this 14-year-old kid's background, but my theory is that he has a similar background like this guy. This kid grew up in a very toxic family, and he had this uncle, I think it was, who used to talk to him and brag about all the different RAPs he did, I think in the military or whatever it was, he did it. And he would brag about all these women he had done that to and just different stuff like that, and would show him all this, graphic stuff, violating women. And he grew up to become this serial killer who went around violating women physically and brutally. I mean, brutally. You guys, this is on Netflix. This guy's documentary is on Netflix. I recommend if you want to delve into my theory for why I think this 14-year-old kid will become the next Night Stalker Jr. if there is no intervention. And I don't even know what type of intervention can truly be done if sometimes these people have these very severe sociopath disorders, psychopath type mindsets. And when we go into the story, you will see the demeanor of this 14-year-old boy, and he has a lack of empathy or remorse for what he has done. And that gives me vibes of someone who is going to potentially develop into the Night Stalker Jr., this gentleman here. So let's go back to the article, guys. I really think, though, I'm really concerned. I'm really concerned about this 14-year-old kid already starting out this way. But basically, there has been another allegation that this 14-year-old boy possibly attacked another woman back in May. And there could possibly be more, you guys. This kid has a pattern of stalking his victims or going out late night and hour. Now, I have to say, Hollywood is a town that never sleeps. So it is very typical for people to be out all hours of the night, all into the morning. It's just they don't ever sleep. I don't know what goes on in Hollywood, but I mean, people are out walking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning. So it's very convenient for sick people like this to have all the access to women, for example, who happen to be out those hours of the night, which, like I said, is very typical in the Hollywood area. It is truly a town that never, ever sleeps. But the sick part I want to know is, why is there no supervision from the family, from the parents? What is going on in this family unit? What are they teaching their kids? What are they exposing this boy to? Because clearly he has had a very perverse upbringing. Very concerned about this. So he has a prior case. The circumstances surrounding that case have not been released. Smith appeared in juvenile court Tuesday and was ordered to be held in detention for at least 21 days until his next hearing. His father also appeared in court and addressed the judge. He said, "My son is 14 years old," on the local news, "and you're showing his picture. Is there anything that can be done about that?" he said. While Smith is currently being held in juvenile detention, the state could decide to charge him as an adult. Now, it's not really typical. I know when I used to prosecute in juvenile court, we kept the identity of the teen very, very secure. In fact, we would tape shut the windows so that no one could look inside the hearing. The doors were there was security outside the doors. You could not go into the hearings unless you were permitted by the judge. So it was very limited to the family members only of both sides of the parties, the attorneys and the judge. So this is very interesting why they have deviated from the typical way of handling youth. But like I said, I think because of the severity of this type of crime, and my belief is that they might move to charge this kid as an adult if they find more prior cases. This kid already has 2. So I think there's going to be a lot more women coming out. I really do. I think he's been doing this for a little while, and he is going to become, in my opinion, guys, I think he's going to be the next Night Stalker. He's already doing this in the early morning hours when the sun is not set. So that could be considered night, even though it's early morning hours. He's out stalking these women. He's doing this multiple times. So he's a serial stalker and serial physical attacker, if you know what I mean, guys. Violating these women. And it's starting out with the violating them, their bodies. But like I said, because he's being charged with this, he's going to go through the process in the judicial process. He's going to see these different women testifying against him. Okay. And he's going to realize when he gets prosecuted, he can see these witnesses that are alive and be able to testify against him. He's going to start to think, oh, In order to get away with these crimes, I cannot leave any witnesses. So when he gets released, unfortunately, because unfortunately in California, the laws are the laws are awful as it relates to crime. They're extremely lenient, and especially when it comes to youth. The pattern is just try to rehabilitate, which is understandable. But when you have individuals like this, who is engaging in heinous crimes like this, so crimes that adults typically do, he is engaging in adult behavior, molesting adult women. Okay, in my opinion, I believe these are adult women. That is a crime that would, in my opinion, elevate him up to adult court. So in that situation, I think they need to throw the book at this kid and really get him some serious type of rehabilitation, because if they do not, like I said, his mind will begin to learn and say, I cannot leave any witnesses. So he will begin to advance in his crimes, and he will begin to, unfortunately, end the life of his victims, and he will become the next serial, you know what I mean, serial killer and physical attacker. And he will become our next Night Stalker Jr. So I really hope and I really pray that there is some form of intervention. I truly don't think that his parents are being a good influence on this kid, because you have to ask yourself how and why and what is this 14-year-old kid doing out late and having sex on his mind and violating these different women. So, guys, let's take a look at some of the news reports that are out there.
Ambushed an attack in Hollywood. The suspect is just 14 years old. Good evening. Off the top at 6, police making an arrest after a woman was ambushed in an attack in Hollywood. The suspect is...
Now take a look at this kid's demeanor. He's slopped over to the side, his head covering his mouth, and he has a glaze in his eyes with absolutely no form of emotion. Look at his dark pupils, and there is no form of empathy, remorse. He looks pretty much bored, as if he is in a classroom listening to a lecture that he does not want to be a part of. This is, to me, signs of indicators, in my opinion, of someone who has psychopath psychopath type of, or sociopath type of characteristics. This, to me, in my opinion, are the beginning stages and develops, in my opinion, of someone who can become very sinister and very dangerous to society. You can literally look at him. He does not care. He does not have any empathy for what he has done. He doesn't care about his victims. In fact, usually some people will at least be some type of just, sadness as a teenager if you're in this type of legal system now in court without your freedom. But he doesn't care. So that is very concerning. It's very alarming to see a child that young engaging in these heinous crimes, and yet he has no type of empathy when he is hearing the charges that are raised against him. And I'm pretty sure attorneys are reading out the facts. If based upon Marcy law, the victim has appeared in court, who knows, and she's there, and he still looks like, look at the glaze on his eyes, as if he does not care. Very concerning. You should be very alarmed.
Is just 14 years old. The SWAT team stormed the teen's home today, just blocks away from where that attack happened.
Let's get right to Local 10's Andrew Perez live in Hollywood with our top story at 6. Andrew.
And police are saying this kid is a really big guy. We're talking more than 6 feet tall, more than 200 pounds. This attack, it was so brutal, so gruesome, and police are considering charging him as an adult. In walks Terry Berger Smith, set to face a judge for rape. The details are just brutal, and Smith is 14 years old.
When you hear about a sexual battery, it's already disturbing, and then when you add in the fact that the suspect is 14 years old, it just makes it that much more disturbing.
Hollywood police arresting the teen, who may now be charged as an...
And so right here at the bottom, that is his father. I believe this is his juvenile defense attorney, probably with the public defender. I'm pretty sure they don't have any finances. This is the detective, and that is the judge here, just so you guys know who is all a part of it.
An adult, his father appearing virtually in court, asking the judge for help.
My son is 14 years old, and, the local news is just, showing his picture and just, is there anything that can be done about that?
But how dare you? Look at you, Mr. no good for nothing dad, allegedly. I don't know if I'm gonna call you that anyway. Just his Father's Day was just yesterday. And look at this pitiful man. First and foremost, number one, you don't seem to have any form of empathy for the victims. Did you even tell the judge, first of all, I'm sorry for what my child has done? This is completely heinous. I express my empathy. I understand that he needs to be held accountable. And then he could have said, however, he is 14 years old, and I would ask respectfully if you could protect his identity. But he didn't say that. Look, he has the same just lack of empathy on his face. All he cares about, all this man cares about is, his son, but he doesn't care about the victims that are now going to go through emotional trauma, fear, I don't know, years and years of therapy, all kinds of their life is completely altered and changed because of this man's son. And he has the audacity to not even try to show any ounce. And that's what really irritates me about some of these individuals and those that are associated with them or related to them. They always, a lot of times, generally, let's just say generally, because not always, there are some exceptions. But generally, a lot of times, they never take the time to show any ounce of empathy for the victims. It's as if it doesn't even matter. And it just frustrates me that this man, I wonder what he has done. I wonder if he himself has violated his own son. Because where did this kid develop this sick mindset of going out preying upon women in early morning hours? So I'm just really frustrated with the dad, you guys.
Is there anything that can be done about that?
But Hollywood police released those pictures asking the public for help to identify a rapist. Detectives say the teen sexually battered a woman as she was walking to work. This was off South Park Road right near Hollywood Boulevard around 4 a.m. Friday, sending shockwaves.
And see, this is why I've told you guys in my other lives that I think nowadays we are in a society that is very dangerous and women are very vulnerable and subject to potential attacks like this, even more so than previous years. So, as I've said before, I think women should be highly trained, educated in utilizing a firearm and having it in their possession, especially someone like this woman who is out at 3:50 in the morning walking. That definitely subjects her to vulnerable dangers out there. So if she, for example, had a firearm or some type of weapon on her, she could have fended off the attacker. So that's one thing I think women should consider, especially if you're going to go head to work at early mornings, 3:50 in the morning. That's pretty early. I wonder what job she has. But yeah, that's pretty early. You want to have some form of protection on you if you're at those type of out at those type of hours as a young lady by yourself.
Waves through the area.
We've been very uneasy, in the neighborhood.
As word got around and pictures kept spreading, police were led to Burger Smith, executing a warrant.
We're all happy and thankful that they did catch the guy because now we can kind of have some reassurance.
While I can't really talk about the investigative techniques that went into this, I can say that this was just really good police work. And we also have to thank the public because it was in part with the public where they were able to provide our detectives some surveillance videos.
So again, this young man is in custody. He's going to be remaining in custody until his next court date, which is a little bit later this month. That's when the state will be announcing whether or not he'll be charged as an adult. Much more to come on this. That's the latest here in Hollywood, though. I'm Andrew Perez, Local 10 News.
All right, Andrew, thank you.
One thing, as I said, I was concerned about him becoming the next Night Stalker Jr. One thing, though, even if he does, I pray he doesn't, I'm just saying, I pray he doesn't, but if there is no significant grandiose intervention, I just say, I don't know. I don't know if this kid can be, I don't know, guys. I really don't. It doesn't seem promising. But if he does advance to that horrific level, one thing that is good about this is they probably already have his DNA and fingerprinting. Oh, they definitely will have his fingerprints. And he will be registered into their database. And they will probably get some of his DNA. And of course, they'll have his identification and all that good stuff, fingerprinting and everything. So if he does advance to the heinous level of the Night Stalker of taking these women's lives of his future victims, allegedly, if that does advance that way, he just has the indicators, guys. I'm just saying, the indicators are there. The thing is, because he's already registered at such a young age, they will at least be able to utilize that to track him down. So he is not going to be able to advance to a series or a long list of victims. He will be tracked down and identified very quickly because they now already have his information in their system. And more than likely, they will have his DNA once they do the RAPE kit on those two women. I'm not sure if the first woman, because it's been since May, I'm not sure if she was able to get an RAPE kit, but maybe she did, probably more than likely after the incident. So they will have his DNA. So, I mean, this kid's not going to be able to get too far anyway. But my question to you guys is, number one, do you think he should be charged as an adult? And number two, do you think this kid can be rehabilitated? Do you think there's hope for this kid? And another thing I have a question for you guys is, what influence do you think has led to this 14-year-old kid, I mean, sophisticatedly thinking of the time, also to the point of where he was dressed, also to who he stalked and preyed upon? What caused this kid to develop this sick, perverted, sinister mindset? Those are the questions I have for you guys. What do you guys think about that? Okay, so hi, A. Nicole. Usually this behavior starts with torture to animals. Right. Exactly, A. Nicole. That is very true. I did not mention that, but that is true. It does start with torture of animals. The signs have been there since his early childhood years. This didn't start overnight. Exactly, A. Nicole. Definitely there were indicators. And probably, hopefully, this case will be more publicized if they choose to go the route of charging him as an adult, which I hope they do. And if so, like you said, are going to be indicators that this kid had some sick behaviors before. Right, smoke, grape his dad. Exactly. What if the dad was doing that too? His identity doesn't need to be protected, unfortunately. It's a public safety issue at this point. Right, A. Nicole, I definitely agree with you. Right, and Nicole, where's his parents? And we saw the dad, but I wonder, this dad is horrible. Your kid is out 3:50 in the morning and you're not appalled. You're just sitting there on the video, just so relaxed, saying, "Oh, my son's picture." Okay, but did you just miss the whole charges there, sir? Did you hear what he's charged with? Did you hear that there's a possible other victim, maybe even more victims out there? While no one is taking care of him, he seems neglected. Definitely, definitely. There are a lot of kids out there like they're called latchkey kids. They're just out and about on their own, no supervision. The parents are out probably on drugs or whatever they're doing, but not really supervising these kids. So they just, out and do whatever they want. But you're right. He probably doesn't have much supervision. The parents just let him do whatever he wants. And the parents don't even know how to be parents. That's the sad part about it. Some of these people, they will have kids and they don't even know how to be parents or don't even try to be responsible parents. Or they grew up in the same type of household where they didn't have much supervision or vision or care for them. So then when they grow up, they just replicate that same poor, neglectful treatment on their children, which they become to be these sick, sinister individuals. And I'm very concerned about this boy, guys, because I really do believe, my theory is he is the modern Night Stalker Jr. But like I said, because they already have his DNA and fingerprinting, I don't expect for this kid to go too far, but he is a danger to society. He's definitely a danger. He could be a bad seed. They say bad seeds are born. Right, Sunra. And they've had some kind of relative that had the same mental behavior. You are right about that, Sunra. There are definitely some people who have, they born like that, with that kind of sociopath mindset. They study, like a lot of psychologists and psychiatrists study the brain in these individuals, and they find certain characteristics that are similar in some of them. So he could have, just been a bad seed, like you said, born a sociopath. But I honestly think this kid has been developing this sexual mindset, the perversion mindset also. So even though he grew up as a sociopath, they do different things. Why is he choosing these perverted crimes? So I wonder if he was, exposed to a lot of perversion growing up, maybe in the house, exposed to a lot of this, and his parents didn't give him much supervision, and he's watching all these different things, probably also sick things going on in the family. And now he has been thinking about it and strategizing about this for many years until he now is starting to act upon his perverted, sick grooming, meaning the things he's learned all these years now at age 14. Because you have to wonder, 14-year-olds, of course, they start getting their hormones and start having girl crushes and stuff like that. But 14-year-old kids going as far as raping. And like I said, when I was a criminal prosecutor and I did prosecute some juveniles for these same type of crimes. Like I said, they were 9, 10, 11, 12, raping their sisters, cousins, stuff like that. There was always something, very toxic going on in the family, with the parents. So, this one is, but you're right though. He might be a bad seed. I mean, look, did you see his face in court? He just didn't even care. At this point, these little juvenile monsters should not be protected. They know what they're doing is evil. Exactly, Anko. He knows this, especially this kid. Because look at his behaviors. Very methodic, very thought out, very planned, very strategic. He chose early morning hours, 3:50 a.m. in the morning, a time frame in which not many people are out. Women are out, vulnerable, if they are out. Also, he chose a time when his parents were asleep. Allegedly, who knows if his parents were asleep. He dressed for the occasion. He wore dark clothing. He covered his identity, but not well enough because you can clearly see this kid's face. But all the things that he took, the strategic steps he took to carry out this sinister crime, and based upon we just listened to it, they said it was a very gruesome crime. So he probably brutally attacked this woman as well. It wasn't just, he sexually assaulted her. He brutally attacked her too. It was violent. They said it was violent what happened. So this kid strategically chose the right time frame, 3:50 in the morning, where people are out vulnerable, especially women who are going to work. I believe, guys, that he knew this woman's routine. I believe this kid was stalking this woman and probably his other prey that he got back in May. So he knew this woman's routine. Also, the area where he is very easy and accessible for sick people like this because, like I said, Hollywood is known to not sleep. People are out all hours of the night and into the morning. They never sleeps. There's always something going on at every second of the day and the night. It's like a 24-hour location. So he is in the prime area where he can find vulnerable female victims. So that's why I'm like you were saying, this kid is a sophisticated criminal already. So like you said, he definitely knows what he is doing. He carefully thought this whole thing out. This wasn't just just spring of the moment thing. This kid has thought this out. He has been mentally tortured by this for many years and has now strategized and tried to, carry out this sick perversion and obsession that he's had for many years. It's just sick, guys. This is sick. I can't believe I'm even talking about this right now. Very scary that he has that much deviant behavior and mindset at age 14 years old. Exactly. It's just appalling. I'm stunned. People are saying California. You said you think it's Florida? It says Hollywood. Let's see. Are you sure? Oh, that says Hollywood, Florida. That does say Hollywood, Florida. So let me fix that, guys. Sorry, I thought it was Hollywood, California. Interesting that they have a... Thank you for whoever said that. Let me see who said that. Joanne. Interesting. Thank God this wasn't California then. Sorry, guys. Okay, so, because Florida has stricter laws, so that's a good thing it's in Florida, because this kid is definitely not going to get a little walk in the park. He is going to get the book thrown at him. I will fix my title on this. So this happened in Florida. So it's good because Florida, they do have pretty strict laws, as you guys know. Their laws are weird. They have weird laws. Florida's just all over the place. But since it's in Florida, he probably is not going to get a little walk in the park like he would have gotten in California. They would have definitely been protecting this kid, kept him in juvenile court, because I've told you I have prosecuted tons of cases like this in juvenile court, and those kids got so much protection and leniency and didn't serve too much detention time, and so they would be back out reoffending again and again and again and again. So that's one good thing. Thanks, Joanne. Yeah, charge him as an adult, Cammie. I agree. Well, no one is taking care of him. Right. His identity doesn't need to be... Yeah, I agree with that. Hi, Brenda. Hi, love. Well, he needs to be kept off the streets for good. Exactly, Sunra. I agree with you. Hi, A. Nicole. How are you? The sociopath thick behavior does start young, but is he sneaking out to perform these heinous crimes? See, that's the question at hand. We don't really know. Is his parents just neglectful? Or is he sneaking out? You know, it could be one or other scenarios because 3:50 in the morning, you know, people are usually asleep. Maybe he snuck out. So that could be a scenario. But I still feel there is some neglect on the part of the parents and some responsibility that the parents need to play. And I do believe this kid was exposed prematurely throughout his life to a lot of pornographic, you know, stuff like that in his lifetime. I think back to Ted Bundy and when he talked about people who commit these type of crimes, he'd had an interview and he said a lot of times they're exposed to the violent type pornographic stuff out there and they start fantasizing about it like he said he did. And then they develop into these sociopaths like this and they go out and do the heinous stuff like as Ted Bundy did, the Night Stalker, and other individuals who commit these perverted, sick, heinous crimes. Let's see, with a woman who believes she's... Okay, let's see what she says. So this is another article that's going to talk about what she's saying. So they're saying that investigators believe 14-year-old boy who was arrested this week for an alleged RAPE may be linked to other similar crimes. Crimes, that's what it S, you guys. Remember I told you there was one back in May, but he may have been linked to multiple ones, not just the two that we talked about. Oh my gosh, guys, let's see what this is about. Local news, Roy Ramos spoke with a woman who believes she is of the teen's alleged victims. She is one of the teen alleged victims. This kid has already been out committing these series of crimes already, guys. Oh my God. I told you I thought it was more than just two. Well, this article is telling us it's more than other crimes out there he's did. She said she was just returning home to her apartment while walking up the stairs. She felt someone grab her by the throat. Oh my gosh, he's already being violent. He's past the level I told you guys I thought he was at. He grabbed her by the throat. She was able to kick and scream and get away. Oh my God. Dang, you guys, this is crazy. I told you, I think he is this kid. That woman believes 14-year-old Terry Berger Smith, and I'm going to say his full name. I don't care if he's 14. Terry Berger Smith is the same person who attacked her. Never in my wildest dreams did I think a boy would have that in them, she said. Wow, it's like a demon took over this kid. Oh my God, this is crazy, guys. I'm sorry, I'm just so shocked. Like, the stuff that I read about, and I don't know if you guys read about, is just... It's crazy. It's like the last few years, we have seen a change and a shift in this type of crimes and the age ranges and just all kinds of just crazy, heinous things happening in the last 3 years that is very alarming. Neighbors living in the Inv apartment complex in Hollywood are on edge and frightened after learning Berger Smith, one of their neighbors, and he lives there, you guys, one of their neighbors, so he lives there, was arrested on accusation of RAPE. After appearing before a Broward County judge, it was revealed the crime occurred around 4 a.m. On June 10th. So let's go back at our timeline, okay? So back in May, he's accused of attacking a woman. June 10th, he committed a crime. And now, the week of June 15th, he committed another crime. This kid is a serial RAPIST. Yes. And he's doing it early mornings. He has a strategy, a well thought out. He is not a normal, typical 14-year-old. They can't use this whole, oh, he's a juvenile. No. This kid is strategically choosing certain morning hours, 4 a.m., 3:50 a.m. So it looks like he has a pattern of coming out of the house around a little bit to 3:30 a.m. to 4 a.m., around, mid to late 3 a.m. and dragging on to the 4 a.m., right? And he's prowling and watching these individuals. And like I said, I think he stalks these women before he does it. He already knows their routine. This woman probably comes home the same time every night. She says she's just returning home to her apartment, walking up her stairs. So he already knows this woman typically comes home around that time. And he chooses 4 a.m. to, like, the other one was 3:50. Now it's 4 a.m. So he chooses these early morning hours when these women are alone and vulnerable. And like I think one of you guys has said, maybe his mom and dad are asleep. Who knows? Or they're just not supervising him well enough. Who knows? But just looking at this, listening to the dad, I don't know if the dad is even really a responsible father, in my opinion. So that's when the victim, a woman, was walking to work near 300 block on South Park Road. Okay, so let's go back up. This is a pattern this kid is doing. So after appearing before Broward Court judge, it was revealed the crime occurred around 4 a.m. on June 10th. That's when the victim, a woman, was walking to work near 300 block. This is interesting. Okay, this is not making sense, guys, because they said this woman, she was returning home to her apartment while walking up the stairs. So this woman was coming home. But then they said after appearing in court, it was revealed the crime occurred 4 a.m. on June 10th. So I don't know if this is the same crime or not, guys, but it just doesn't, the facts don't line up because this woman here is walking to work, whereas the other woman is walking home. So who knows? Whoever wrote this article is not really clear. So that's when the victim, a woman, was walking to work near 300 block of South Park Road. Hollywood police said that's when she was attacked and sexually assaulted. Wow. And this man's violent. You heard what the other woman said. He grabbed her by the throat. I think these are 3 different incidents, the May one and then 2 in June, because the facts are different. You guys let me know what you think. Local 10 News visited the Berger Smith home to speak with his father. Where's his mother? Is this a single parent household? And he's being raised by his dad, who's probably a pervert himself, in my opinion, allegedly. So the local news came and spoke to the father and asked about the charges his son is facing, which include 4 counts. 4! So are these 4 different women? Because it's 4 counts of sexual battery, which with great force, and 1 count of kidnapping. Dang, guys, this is worse than I thought. He's not only being forceful, but he kidnapped 1 woman. And there's 4 counts of it. So either they broke out some of the incidents in separate counts. Maybe they could do that. Actually, they can break out. Like for 1 victim, they can have 2 counts, depending on the actions at hand. Or my other theory could be that these are 4 different women. Who knows? But we already heard about 3 different women. So this is crazy, guys. Oh my gosh. Woo, Jesus. No one came to the door. Also alarming in this case is that detectives are reviewing another case from May 27th. That was the one we talked about before. So that one in May occurred May 27th, where another woman said she was attacked. He immediately grabbed me by the neck in a chokehold. So this kid has a pattern, all right, a modus of operandi. His modus of operandi, his pattern is stalk these women 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. He has a strategic way of dressing, dark clothing, covering his face, hood on. That is his typical clothing. He has a pattern of use of violence that he typically uses, is he chokes these women. He goes for their throat. Because we already heard 2 different women say the same thing. One woman said he grabbed her by the throat. The second woman here that happened in May 27th, she said he grabbed her by her neck in a chokehold. So that is his pattern. And a lot of these criminal, sick people like this, they usually do have some type of pattern in how they operate. And this kid has developed one, guys. We already heard 2 different people saying the pattern, the same exact story, same exact timing. This kid is he's a serial sick, rapist, and will potentially become a serial killer. I'm just saying. These women are lucky they are still alive. And when I realized that this was a real attempt to possibly RAPE me or harm me, I immediately screamed and elbowed him and I kicked him. Okay, this girl was smart. That's what I'm trying to tell you, ladies. This woman has self-defense techniques. So you as women, us as women, need to have that. If you're not comfortable with guns, you need to have other weapons, taser, pepper spray, and you need to take a self-defense course. As you can see, this woman, she already knew what to do. She elbowed him and kicked him. And I know in some self-defense classes, they definitely teach the elbow technique and then the kick technique. So it looks like she has some form of, maybe a little small amount of training for self-defense. Fortunately, she said she was able to make it into her apartment and call the police. So this kid is stalking women in his apartment complex. Women that he knows gets home early, because this is the second woman that says she's trying to make it into her apartment complex. So he's waiting for these women to get home early morning hours or leave to their jobs early morning hours. So again, that's another thing you need to add to his pattern. He has a set strategic pattern, and it seems to be replicated in every incident. That's very concerning. This is typical behavior of someone who is a serial, like I said, serial criminal, basically serial violent criminal. And that can encompass, as we talked about, RAPIST, but KILLER as well. While the suspect got away that day, it's days later, she believes the same person returned more aggressive and unfortunately more violently determined. Let's read that again. Because like I said, it's developing. Started out with chokehold, but now he has learned when she kicked him and elbowed him, he realized, okay, I need to come with greater force because I failed that attempt. So now he came back days later, more aggressive and more violently determined. This is very sinister, you guys. This is giving me Ted Bundy vibes. Again, this is giving me Night Stalker vibes. Very sinister kid. He came back with more force. And as you guys know what that means, is it will eventually develop to taking women's lives. It's getting to that point because he came, he tried the first attempt, it didn't work. Now he's adding more force, more violent, to the point where it's going to lead to him taking someone's life if they do not intervene and charge him as an adult and give him some significant amount of time. He needs therapy too. I don't even know if therapy is going to work for this sick kid. When I saw you guys posted it on Channel 10 News, he was wearing the same clothing. What did I say, guys? The same clothing. She said it was the same hoodie, same height. What did I tell y'all? This kid has developed a sinister pattern. He is not a typical 14-year-old. He has carefully thought this out. He has a strategic, similar pattern in all of his incidents, at least 3 to 4 incidents. There's 4 counts, so possibly 4 victims are involved. Wears the same clothing, comes out the same time at night, does the same violent act of using the chokehold, and who knows what other violent acts he has now added to that strategy, because when he tried just the chokehold, you already knew what happened with that. The woman was able to elbow and kick him and get him off of her. So this kid right here, you guys, is a very dangerous kid. He's not a kid. He's not a kid. He's a demon, a sociopath, psychopath, whatever you want to call him. So, and the scary part is he's a very big 14-year-old kid. He's not an average 14-year-old kid like they're saying. He's not the typical 14-year-old kid. He's 6'1". He weighs 240 pounds. Those are the characteristics of someone who can overpower any adult woman, pretty much, unless she's a bigger woman. But, the average, let's say average adult woman. Hollywood police is investigating the late May case, and more charges may follow. Investigators said the 4 counts of sexual battery the suspect is currently facing now are all involving June 10 crimes. Okay. So it looks like I told you guys, this is what they did. They charged separate crimes for the same exact incident that occurred in June. So they haven't even charged him with the May 27th one or the other incident. So he hasn't got charged with those other ones yet. He just got charged for the same one incident in June 10th. And I guess there were different forms of sexual battery he did to her. They charge them separately. So it could have been, you know what I mean? There's different ways you can do stuff. You guys already know, you guys are all adults. So depending on the different forms of sexual behaviors he did with her, they're charging each one separately, basically. So he's going to have more charges to follow once they do further investigation about the May 27th incident. And I believe there's possibly a third one, because it looks like I said, the way the article is written, it looks like number one, it looks like two different incidents, because this woman's walking to her house, this woman's leaving to work, but then they try to tie them together. So I don't know if it's two separate incidents or one incident, but the article wasn't written clearly, but you guys be the judge. Either way, two is too many. One is too many. And this kid already has the same pattern with these incidents. This is a very alarming thing, and I think he needs to be charged as an adult. I think he needs to get significant amount of time. I honestly don't think this kid should ever see the day of light. I hope Florida throws the book at this kid. Hi, Kay, mommy. How are you, sweetie? Oh, yeah, Richard Coleman. Could be video games, Grand Theft Auto. Hi, Richard. Do you think, but does Grand Theft Auto have like perverted type graphic stuff, like, you know, physically violating women on there? I know they kill people and they take people's cars and stuff, but I don't know if they have that actual, you know what I mean? Actual, I'm not going to say the word, actual content. He's being raised by the internet and not his parents. Exactly, Marina. I agree with you. I agree with you. Very scary that he has that much, deviant behavior and mindset at 14 years old. I know. Hey, Nicole, this is very terrifying. He definitely needs to be tried as an adult. I totally agree with you, A. Nicole. He needs to be locked up. This is insane at only 14 years old. Exactly, Marina. I agree with you. This is very alarming. Hi, K Mommy. She said, I wonder if that's in his DNA somewhere. I know, that's what I was thinking, because a lot of psychiatrists and psychologists, they study the brain of individuals like this. So it could be, somebody said a little earlier that they thought, you know, what if he was just born that way? He could have been born that way. But like I said, I think there was also an added component regarding the environmental factors in his household also that made it even worse, that exacerbated his DNA defect. You know what I mean? He may have been born a sociopath, but I believe his upbringing and the things he's exposed to also kind of conditioned this type of crime that he chose. You know what I mean? That's what I think. My opinion can be, you know, who knows? We all have different opinions on this. Yes, I think these are separate accounts. Looks like he started this activity this summer as school is out of session. Oh, you know what, hey, Nicole? You are right. You are so right. Because don't kids get out of school, what, May or June? And it was end of May, so that'd be around the time when they are released from school. So you're right, he has more time, more availability. Who knows if his parents are supervising him? So yeah, if, like you said, hey, Nicole, you're right. That's 3 different incidents already, and he hasn't been charged for the other 2 victims yet. So this story is developing. We'll try to keep up with it if they continue to publicize it. But guys, just be on the lookout. Women, get you some self-defense training, weapons of some use that you need to defend yourself with, because we are living in very dangerous, dark, and desperate times. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Take care. Good night.